We're not experts, and the opinions expressed are solely our own. We'll do our best to be factual and correct any errors that might occur at a later date. The main point of this show is taking the fork in the road towards comedy whenever possible. There will be many forks in the road. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Drinking and Talking Animals. I'm Bob.
I'm Mark.
I'm George.
Yes. And today, we're going to talk about the amazing cicada, which won't matter much right now, but depending on the part of the country you live in, come May, you're going to be in for quite a shock this year.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be all the rage.
It is. There's
the
going to be
rave.
parties. Yeah.
Cicada rave.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say that cemeteries are a great place to see cicadas when they come out because it all has a lot of old growth trees and they don't tend to mess around with the scenery of the cemeteries all that often. And
Could
yeah.
be zombies. Cicada.
Ooh,
If I was a tree, I'd want to be in a cemetery.
Thiptrid.
It's a good place to live.
The other big news from Gobbler's Knob, back on the 2nd of February, the ground-dwelling hog didn't see its shadow, and it still amazes me that we're using a groundhog for a meteorologist these days, since it is 2024. And if we get an early spring, though, I'm all for that. And by the way, this was the 138th time that Puxatawny Phil made a prediction, and I had no idea that a groundhog could live that long.
I didn't either.
That is one long-lived groundhog.
Back to you, George.
I think that's one of the.
Yeah, back to Gobbler's Knob.
I think that's one of the dumbest things that happened in the United States.
I
Actually,
will say, though, one of my
Hey.
favorite movies is Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, Bill Murray's awesome in that, you know. Just the part where he, learns all of the Jeopardy questions and he's shouting out the answers after Alex says, 2 words. And people are just amazed. Yeah, it's the things he does in that. It is a great concept for a film, 100%. Let's see. Anyone else have anything unusual or of note?
No.
Yeah. I was driving down M Street today, and there was a seagull sitting on one of the street lights, and then no seagull, and then another seagull. And I thought, I was having deja vu, because I rarely see seagulls perched on streetlight heads, but this was just random. It was...
and then you realize you drove through the same intersection twice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was weird. It was kind of a butterfly effect moment, you know. I could see the trails that I could take towards a different future.
Where were you in between the intersection?
Yeah. Groundhog's Day all over again.
It was. Yeah, it's deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
There's a little Yogi Berra for everybody. I think that's all I got for beginning stuff.
No.
What are we gonna... Looks like we're gonna go on a ginger journey today.
Yeah, we are. Well, we had talked about
The
a while ago
George-themed snack
about
and
doing a ginger beer comparison.
ginger comparison.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to compare Q Mix's ginger beer with Kroger brand ginger beer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
we're going to go for it.
exactly. And your major differences are the labels.
Yeah.
Because Q, you've got carbonated water, organic agave, citric acid, ginger extract, and the extracts of chili pepper, coriander, cardamom, lime, and orange. In the other one, we've got carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, natural flavor, citric acid, sodium benzoate, caramel color, and gum acacia. And this is not the sugar-free. Damn it!
I know. I just realized
Son
that.
of a bitch.
I know.
God.
You had to go with what they had.
Yeah, I think you couldn't read the label right.
I think I grabbed the wrong box.
That could be. Well, it's
That's
good
okay.
because...
This is the last of the one I had. So now,
Yeah.
when I go shopping this evening,
Well, and I haven't had this one with
Yeah.
the high fructose corn syrup, so this is a new little journey for me today as
so
well.
I'm going to start off with the Q Mixer.
Q Mixer. Yes. We will follow suit.
Well,
My people are going to be offended by these snacks and drinks.
Yes.
Be like having a Chinese guy over and all you have is Chinese food.
Yeah. Yeah, the cue's just what I remember.
Yep.
Straight to the nose.
Yep. Back
Yep.
of the throat, over the gums.
Look out, nasal passages. Here it comes.
All right.
The Kroger one's more robust.
I mean, it's remarkably similar.
Yeah. I think it's a little sweeter.
A touch, yeah.
Yeah. But you still get that nice burn.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell that you're getting a little more premium experience with the Q because of the agave as a sweetener versus high fructose corn syrup, which, you could get that in anything these days. So, snack.
Snack is Stauffer's Snaps.
Snaps.
Ginger.
You sure it's not Stuffers?
No, it's Stauffer's. Stauffer apostrophe.
Stauffers.
S. Not Stauffer's. Snaps. A cookie with a zing.
Literally, isn't that how Stauffers is spelled?
No, it's spelled with an O.
Okay.
I can't argue about that.
Yeah. I will tell you that my first one here, they do snap, and I thought I was going to break a molar. They're a little on the hard side, but they're exactly what you want a ginger snap to be once you can.
Maybe you're not a snap eater because these are exactly right. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
maybe even a little thinner.
They
and
just
it'd be
seem
textbook.
Right. That's what I was thinking too,
But-
because Megan bought at World Market for the holidays. They had a big tin of pipakaka, which is basically just the Swedish version of ginger snaps, but they were remarkably about half as thin as this, and very tender though. I mean, they
probably,
snapped.
They probably also had cardamom as a seasoning. Also,
I think they did. Excellent though. If you've ever had pipakaka, we liked them so much. Megan went back and tried to buy another tin, and they were sold out at that point. So they were very popular. Also,
I've only ever had crumb
I've
caca.
Never had a tender cookie before.
really,
I've had a soft cookie, a moist cookie, a crunchy cookie.
maybe
Never tender.
you're just not a culinary guy.
I think
there'd
of
be
a
some that
steak
are-
as being
Yeah.
tender.
There'd be some that
Or
are made with
chicken
egg
has been-
whites. Some made with egg whites would be classified as tender.
I don't know.
Right.
I just never think of the term tender in describing a cookie.
They use it for cakes. They use it for all kinds of baked goods. Tender crumb. Yeah, it's a tender crumb.
In Norwegian baking, they have a cookie-like thing. It's more like a crepe that hardens called krumkaka.
Crumb caca. Yeah.
And that's seasoned entirely with cardamom as the main.
Yeah. There's a lot of caca.
Must be cookie.
Yeah, that's good caca.
Chris,
Hey, why don't you hit us with some socials?
Drinking and Talking Animals on Facebook and Instagram. And the one I keep forgetting is danimals@gmail.com if you want to send us an old school email. That's actually next week. You're going to find out that the animal of the day is from a viewer suggestion.
Yes.
Our best friend Elka.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do the maned wolf.
it's our only
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, one of.
One of our
Yeah.
only friends.
Yeah, we have a lot of very common followers now. You
Yeah.
know, I see a lot of the same people: Intoxicated Traveler, Bamberg Hops. There's a lot of people that continually seem to like the reels and everything that happens, and it's all pretty much Instagram.
There's the arson culture.
Yeah, arsenic culture.
Arsenic culture.
Yeah. There's a lot of
there's a lot.
standards. I don't know that they
R.D.
actually
Trimble.
listen to the show.
R.D. Trimble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Author R.D.
Yeah.
Trimble.
Yeah.
Here.
I forgot.
Let's see. So I hear we have no commercial today, so that makes it easy, and you don't get to say we're back. Bam.
We're still here.
We didn't go anywhere. Huh, yeah. Oh, you just want to take a break? Just because?
Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, and then I can put in like some music or something.
Is that a
Oh.
union thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta give you guys at least 30 seconds.
Just a musical interlude? Yeah.
It's a good just like break up the episode.
Yeah. Be like, do, 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 do. Yeah. Just throw in a little bit of Muzak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the point where most people turn us off.
Or Max snoring.
Yeah. That was a good one. It's like, yeah. Oh, that's why we needed to take a break. Yeah. Max needs Cheetos.
Max needs snacks. Get your water, Max.
Max wants snack.
All right.
Yeah, it is spicy. It hits you right here.
I swear this one is spicier.
Yeah.
We are back.
I wasn't ready for that.
Bob wasn't.
Oh,
I'm serious. Like,
Bob.
both of these ginger beers have a lot of cayenne poke in the throat.
Yeah,
So,
they do.
And that's exactly what heads up the nasal passages. And if you take too big of a swallow, you find out right away that it's in there.
You didn't complain about poke in the throat last night.
It's true. Why would I? I asked for it. Anyway, cicadas, or as some say, cicada, because you
Cicada,
say tomato
cicada.
and I say tomato. I don't care how anyone wants to pronounce it, because everyone should still know what you're talking about if you've ever been around them. And it was very common if you watched anything about them in Australia, cicada. Cicada, cicada, cicada. That's how they say it.
Well,
I don't care.
They don't say anything right.
Yeah. They just been messing up the King's English since they became a penal colony, I guess. They're probably one of the coolest yet most annoying bugs on the planet. And the order is Hemiptera. Hemi means half, pteron means wing. This order of insects is often referred to as true bugs. There are over 80,000 species, including our cicadas, plant and leaf hoppers, assassin bugs, and even the incredible bed bugs.
Yes.
Yeah, so pay more than $20 a night for your hotel and lodging.
Actually, bring yourself a little UV flashlight.
Oh,
It'll show if you have
Yeah.
bed bugs in it, though. They fluoresce.
it might show you more than you want to
I
see,
know,
too.
But you know what? There's certain things you do want to know.
Right. There's luminol everywhere in this room. Like, what's this big human-shaped print on the carpet? Weird. What happened here? They range in size. We're talking about still Hemiptera here. They range in size from 0.04 of an inch to 6 inches, and all share the commonality of piercing and sucking mouth parts, just like Mark.
Yeah, they all use a straw.
They do. The suborder is Achenorhyncha, and in Greek, achin means neck or throat, and rhynchos means nose or snout. And I'm sure we'll cover rhynchos again when we finally make our way around to the rhinoceros, which is going to be probably for like a 25, 50, who knows, episode. That's kind of a keystone species there, so it'll be a good one. This suborder also used to be known as Homoptera, just for giggles. The infraorder is Cicadomorpha, and that means cicada-like. And from here we get to the superfamily, Cicadoidea, and then into two families. The family Cicadidae are known as the true cicadas, and there are more than 3,400 species worldwide. The other family is Teddigarctidae, and I don't know if I'm right here, but I hope I am, because teddy means roof in Greek, and Garctos means gargoyles in Latin, and that's a pretty accurate description of these freaking things. Especially after they molt and leave their husk behind, it's would probably remind you of a roof gargoyle.
Teddigarctidae are also known as the hairy cicadas.
Yes, I think that's in here somewhere, but I
All
don't know.
right, I don't know.
But I could never actually find anyone that broke it down that way. In every place I looked, I try. It gets crazy sometimes trying to figure out the origin of some of these words. But Anyway, at this point, I'd have to cover a whole bunch of subfamilies, then tribes, and that would be before I could even get you to a genus, and from there a species, and we don't have the time.
No.
There's way too many of them. It's confusing, especially when you start getting into the tribes. It's just
I'd be home by then.
yeah, exactly. George would be asleep, and it would be the first time George snored on an episode.
No, I think
Max
Tiger
already
King,
broke that
I
seal.
think Tiger King I did too.
Yeah, that could have just been a drunk moment of unconsciousness.
That was just
We were
stupor.
all there that day.
That was
right.
he was in a stupor.
Yeah, that was an amazing day. More importantly, cicadas are really differentiated between their emergence cycles, and there we have annual cicadas and the 13 and 17-year periodical cicadas. And if at some point we mention broods, and I don't know how deep we'll get on that, but if you happen to hear anything on the news about brood X, don't be scared because it's actually brood 10.
Yes.
Periodical cicada broods are all assigned Roman numerals going all the way back to 1907 and a system designed by entomologist Charles Lester Marlatt. 1 through 17 are 17-year cicadas, and 18 through 30 are reserved for 13-year cicadas. And it's really random that there are 17 Roman numerals for 17-year and 13 Roman numerals for 13-year. So I don't know if that... Right, exactly. Maybe they set it up that way on purpose. I don't know.
knows?
But broods 11 and 21 are extinct, and several of the numbers are listed as spurious, meaning they can emerge off schedule by 1 or more years.
Yep.
So it's kind of weird. You can find the table very easily online.
Everywhere.
That's an easy thing to
Yeah.
find. And you're going to read a whole bunch about this year because this is the first time since the 1800s that the 17-year and 13-year cicadas are going to emerge at the same time. So there's going to be more than usual. A lot more.
Billions and billions.
And
Probably
in some states,
potentially trillions.
in some
Yes.
states, a great deal more. I mean,
Right.
We're talking
a couple
gonna
of
be
them with
using,
the overlap.
yeah,
Right.
snow shovels on the sidewalk.
And that's not even accounting for your annual cicadas that, are going to emerge also at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's going to be, kind of rapturous.
Those annual ones are also referred to as dog cicadas because they come out during the dog days of summer.
Well, I think it was actually Dog Day cicadas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dog cicadas. Or just dogs.
No, I've seen it both ways,
Well,
written up both ways.
You've had it both ways. I know.
Yeah, you know it.
Hey-o. Good time for a bell. I'm going to wrap it up here today because the only thing we have left to cover is cicada is a Latin word that means tree cricket. Bam. Easy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where do we find them?
Well, the two, the Tetagardidae are found in Australia and Tasmania, and the rest are found on every continent in the world except Antarctica.
Yeah, the old standby.
Yeah, the old standby.
Antarctica never gets anything good.
Yeah. Are there any cicadas other than that in Australia and New Zealand? Or
Yes.
it's okay.
Yes.
So, yeah,
That's
but
just-
that's the only place
the
you
only
can find
place
the other
those are.
family.
But yeah, there's
Yeah.
the other ones. Did you know we have 20 species in the state of Washington?
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
The
I've
most-
never heard them here.
They're mostly in the mountainous areas.
Yeah, I've lived here my whole life. I've never heard one.
Right.
They're here. Okanagan is the genus.
Okanagan.
Yes. And it's
Probably
named
in
from the
Okanagan.
Okanagas, and they're not sure if it was the area or the native tribes
Huh.
that
And-
ate them.
Yeah, wasn't it the Tetagardidae? Aren't they also the ones that are probably considered more primitive than
Yes,
the other
they
family?
They are a lot
Because they're
more
the
primitive,
ones
yeah.
that use the ground for resonance, right? They kind of tend to stay in their burrow and they
Yes.
do their calling from,
Yes.
and they, most of them have the males have a hollow abdomen. We'll get into more of this
Yeah, we
stuff,
will.
but that's what helps with the resonance of,
Yeah.
I guess it'd be more of like your New World cicadas in some regard, but they're on every continent except Antarctica, so you
Yeah.
really can't. I guess there are Old World and New World, but
Well, I did see one last night.
did you?
Yeah, he was a shell of his former self.
Good Lord. Yeah, that was the lightest I could hit the bell. Let's see. I think you were going to rock and roll with some characteristics.
Yeah.
I probably just stepped on your toes a couple times, but
okay.
hey,
Ow.
if we repeat,
Ow.
we repeat.
Well, they are characterized by having 3 joints in their tarsi and having small antennae with conical bases and 3 to 6 segments, including a seta at the tip. Setae, whatever. Like leafhoppers.
That's where you fell asleep last night and tweaked your back.
Like leafhoppers, they differ from other hemipterans by having a rostrum that arises from the posterior ventral part of the head. They have a complex sound-producing membranes and a mechanism for linking the wings that involves a down-rolled edging on the rear and the forewing and an upwardly protruding flap on the hind tip.
A lot of tips.
On the hind of the wing. The hind wing.
The hind of the
Now,
wing.
they are feeble jumpers, and nymphs
So am I.
lack the ability to jump altogether. Now, nymphs do have a foreleg that is adapted for digging. And the relic family, Tetragardidae, has a prothorax extending as far as the scutellum and lacks the tympanal apparatus, which is what the others use for their resonancing.
Aren't bug characteristics fun, George? Mm-hmm. You get to say a lot of words that nobody's going to understand. Like, I hope you have a dictionary handy, folks.
Well, yeah, I know. And, we did cover a lot of these words in leafhopper.
That's true.
And
we
any
did.
other bug we've done. 'Cause
Right.
they're pretty. Now, adults are known as imagio, and average 1
Wasn't
to 2.
it Imago?
Imago?
Joe,
Imago, yeah.
It was Joe Imago.
Imago. An average 1 to 2 inches in length. Now, the empress cicada can reach 2.8 inches in length with a wingspan of 7 to 8 inches.
geez.
And the smallest are about a half an inch. And
That's-
there's several species.
That's bigger than a freaking hummingbird, then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, they have prominent compound eyes set wide apart on the sides of their heads. The short antennae protrude between the eyes or in the front of them, depending on the species. They also have 3 small ocelli located on the top of the head in a triangle between the eyes. Now, if we recall from future, ocelli are just like light attracting or light gathering eyes.
Right.
They don't see visually, but they can tell the difference between light and dark and
That's
shadow.
what the one in the middle is, right?
Yes.
Kind of a vestigial eye,
Yeah.
or it just senses.
Yeah.
It's like
Or bulk movement kind of things.
I think
Yes.
it also, the main purpose is tracking like a circadian rhythm. It's just sensing now it's night, now it's dark, or now it's
much more
day.
basic
Right.
than that. Than,
I think that's really because there's I don't think it has like a visual function.
like it's time to get up.
The only thing that did was I think we talked about a weird fish that did have a little bit of visual function in
Yes.
that third eye, but
Yes.
that might have been the weird one, the barrel eye.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Now, this distinguishes cicadas from the other Hymenoptera. The mouth parts form a long, sharp rostrum that they insert in plants to feed. The postclypeus is a large, nose-like structure that lies between the eyes and makes up most of the front of the head. And this contains the pumping musculature, so it allows them to pull in the sap,
Xylem.
the xylem.
Delicious.
Yeah. Now, the thorax has 3 segments and houses the wing muscles. They have 2 pairs of membrane wings that may be hyaline, which is glassy, cloudy, or pigmented. Colored,
Yeah.
if you want to go. The wing...
There's an old term.
The wing venation
Cloudy.
varies between species and
That's
can
the
help with identifying them. And venation is basically the wings have vein-like structures in them. The middle thoracic segment has an operculum on the underside, which may extend posteriorly and obscures parts of the abdomen. The abdomen is segmented with the hindmost segment housing the reproductive organs and terminates in females with a large saw-edged ovipositor.
Mm-hmm.
In the male, the abdomen is mainly hollow.
Yep.
And is used as a resonating chamber. The surface of the wings are what they call superhydrophonic. Hydrophobic.
Yeah.
I can't read my own writing. And is covered by minute, waxy cones, blunt spikes that create an water-repellent film. Mm-hmm. Rain basically rolls across the surface, removing dirt in the process. Dew, which will condense on the wings also, will achieve the same effect.
Well, did you read that part about dew, where when the drops collect together, they actually jump about a millimeter off the wings? That's what super hydrophobic
Well,
means.
I was just going to say, when the droplets coalesce, they leap several millimeters into the air.
That is a trip.
Which
There's
also
some plant
removes
leaves that
the
have
dirt.
that capability too.
Right. If you're going where I think you're going, this next part is super badass.
Bacteria
landing
on the wing surface are not repelled. Instead, their membranes are torn apart by the nano-sized spikes. Now, this is the first known biomaterial that kills bacteria, which
That's
is
a trip.
pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another weird thing is desert cicadas can lower their body temperature by as much as 41 degrees Fahrenheit by sucking in excess sap and extruding the excess water through the pores in their tergum.
Huh.
Now, this equates to sweating in mammals.
Right.
Other species can do this, but not with this much extremed.
Yeah.
And that basically, it triggers in when their body temperature gets up over 102 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Now, most species with a timbal, which is a pair of timbals lying on each side of the anterior abdominal region.
Yeah. George, you've got a pair of timbals.
Well, if you only have one timbal, it doesn't make any noise.
You're half timbled.
The structure is buckled by muscular action and being made of resilin, which is an elastometric protein. It unbuckles rapidly on muscle relaxation, thus producing sound.
The way I thought about it, because going through the same stuff, it reminded me of the clicker you'd use to train your dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you get one sound when you click it in, and it makes another click when you let it off.
Yes.
And imagine being able to move your thumb and doing that 180 times a second. I think it's something like that. You could kind of mimic what a cicada can do, you know. But
I saw a guy had taken one apart and he was physically moving them with the little probe, and it was making that click
Really?
both directions. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, some cicadas have mechanisms.
I mean, sick.
for
Who would do that?
for stridulation, sometimes in addition to the timbals. The wings are rubbed over a series of mid-thoracic ridges, also producing a noise.
Yeah. It's an interesting process for sure.
One bug band.
Yeah.
You got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you ever grab them off of a tree, they're pretty easy because their wings extend down past their abdomens.
Yeah.
So you can just grab the tips of their wings, and they'll let you know. They have an alert buzz.
Yeah.
They make, I think, like 5 or 7 different distinctive calls, or it's just more like patterns, I guess, that they can do. And the alert one you'll know right away because they'll be like, "Hey, get off me, bro!"
Hey, bro.
Like, it's like a hand buzzer.
Wrong hole.
I saw this short little video of in Australia. One of them, the one that I think is the loudest, the greengrocer one. The dog had one in its mouth, and it's just standing
Mess with
still.
my greengrocer.
And the owner said, "What do you got in your mouth? Why is your face making noise?" And the dog,
Oh, the dog.
the dog
Yeah.
didn't want to give it up. And
Right.
Finally opened his mouth. Like, he got like 3 times louder, but he didn't want to spit it out. Like, I've been eating these all day. Why should I
Yeah.
spit this one out?
Yeah, and that's true. It's a major food source. You know, the timed emergence makes it a great food source for a lot of
Well,
things.
and the whole idea behind it is because it's when you have that many coming out, and they don't come out exactly the same day,
Right.
but the first one's eaten, basically make it so that the ones coming out a little bit later
Yeah.
are going to survive better because they're already stuffed
Right.
on the first.
I think I
group.
have a tiny blurb about that coming up, but yeah, it was. I read an article with one guy that has a cat, and he's actually a cicada expert, and he says that when he takes his cat to go see these annual emergences because this is his life, and the cat, you know, she'll be pretty interested in it initially. And then by the time he said that you get about a week or two in, he said he'll just see his cat laying on the porch just covered in cicadas. And she's like, I don't give a crap about these stupid things anymore. There's so damn many of them, you know. This is boring now.
This is life
Right.
now.
Yeah, but when the first few start coming out, you know, it's pretty interesting because you don't get to see them all that often. I mean, it's a once a year thing. So, you know, it's kind of cool that way. Let's see. Looks like,
You know what time it is, man.
oh.
You remind me of my pinky toe. Sooner or later, I'm gonna bang you on the table. It's time for breeding with Bob.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah. If you didn't think it could get creepier, it can every
I
time.
did.
All right.
Holy crap.
I'm glad you had a Mark joke loaded for that little intro there. And I'm just going to let everyone know right off the bat here, the beginning of this whole thing is pretty dry, so we're going to need some lube. But don't worry, it'll be nice and dirty by the end. You would not believe how hard it is to find any information about the actual act of cicada mating on the internet. Almost every article starts with the males forming a chorus, then they make their mating calls. The females respond by flicking their wings in rhythm with the male's call. They mate, and bingo, eggs. It says they mate, they mate, they mate. Everywhere, pretty much everywhere you look. I got creative, and I'm a pretty good Googler because I have to find a lot of obscure items that
trust
work.
me. I know
Right.
how that works.
Exactly. So you have
You
to
go
get
down a
creative.
hell of a lot of rabbit holes.
Right. It was weird that nobody wanted to explain the process in how it actually works
I don't know.
to the general public for some reason. But you know damn well we can't just leave it at they
secret.
mate.
It's
Right.
a secret.
So I'm going to start with eggs and get all the boring stuff out of the way so that we can talk about the best part at the end. Females have an ovipositor that comes out of a slit at the top of her abdomen. It's comprised of a rigid central rod, and on each side of it lies a serrated structure that uses scissor-like action to create a V-shaped slit in the end of branches of new leaves.
Scissoring?
Scissoring. They
Ooh.
do. It's a sawing motion. Yeah, it's like basically like warming your hands like Mr. Miyagi before you break through 7 sheets of ice. Researchers have found that the structure of the ovipositor is actually reinforced with metals, and those deposits are greater at the edges of the serrations. That was an interesting thing that I think is relatively new. They didn't know that, how these things were. You figure these females. And I'm talking about periodical cicadas here because it was easier just to kind of stay in the vein of one of them to go down the entire road. So all of them might not do this. And on average, periodical cicadas have between 400 and 600 eggs. So what they do is she makes the little V-shaped slit in the twigs or branches. It's usually close to where new leaf growth is going to occur, and she'll lay 10 to 20 eggs in that 1/4 inch slit that she puts into the twig, and then she moves a 1/4 inch and repeats that process until she runs out of branch. If that happens, she just flies to a new area, and the process starts again until all of her eggs have been laid.
All her legs.
Have been egged.
I read that's
Right.
detrimental to the tree, and they actually refer to it as cicada pruning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I read, everything about that was it can significantly damage young trees, but old trees stand up pretty good to it, because they can lose a couple of tips,
there's a point of
once
being-
every 17 years.
To the point of being beneficial.
Right.
That if you prune certain portions of a tree, then
Right.
you can get more yield, more nuts, more whatever.
More nuts. Right, correct. So let's see. North American cicadas are known to utilize over 200 species of trees for egg laying, which is, I think they could probably do more than that. Who knows? Anything you can put a quarter-inch slit in and stick your ovipositor into, hey-ooo. It's any port in a storm. It takes 6 to 8 weeks after getting laid for the eggs to start hatching. And at this point, all of their parents are dead. All of them. Your parents are dead. Yeah.
They're orphans?
Yep. They will never meet their parents. Not a cicada that's ever been born has ever met its parents.
How
Guaranteed.
sad.
Yep. Yeah. So that being the case, obviously the parents aren't involved in any of the rearing at all of the next generation. They
Don't
emerge.
teach them how to hunt.
Right, exactly. Can't teach them how to buzz and do the nasty. I mean, really, that's what we're going to get into here. They emerge as a nymph, and once they come out of the tip of that new leaf growth, they said that they would chew through and fall to the ground. They don't freaking chew anything. They poke and suck. Right. They pierce and suck. Right. Which is hot.
I was going to say, it sounds pretty good to me.
But to me, I watched a couple videos, and basically, as soon as they hatch from the eggs, they just go bonsai, and they fall to the ground.
And how long does that take?
6 to 8 weeks is the time from lay
On
to
the
hatch.
species and weather conditions.
Yeah. True.
Let's say 7 weeks.
Yeah, and you'll find this is common too. That I think it was the further you move north, it throws the cycle off by a week or so.
Yeah.
These things are so like the most temperature specific thing probably that we've ever talked about. Their instinct to burrow kicks in at the point where they hit the ground and they start to dig. They'll feed on grass roots as they go and switch to pretty much any root after that. Anything they can pierce and suck out, sweet xylem, they'll do it.
How big are they at that point?
Like a grain of rice is the most common descriptor I found of, freshly hatched.
Would that be jasmine rice or?
Yeah, like fragrant rice.
So they go right from egg to that nymph
Yep.
stage.
Yeah, they hatch as
skipping larva.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a straight to nymph, correct. Xylem is the water conducting tissue that brings water and minerals from the soil up the tree. The phloem has the sugars that flow downward, so the xylem is mostly water and not very nutritious, but that's all they're going to eat their entire lives, living in pitch black darkness, which is a great way to spend, 17 years, 13 years, whatever, respectively. And even a lot of other annuals they have like 4 to 5. It varies all over the board. I think some of them are every year.
Some are every year, some are every 2 years, 3 and 5 is. But there's always at least one brood coming out every year.
At least they have dying to look forward to.
Right. And I didn't get into it at all, but I believe there have been a couple of new periodicals found in, I think it was Asia somewhere, that are 4 and 8, which is really weird because the 13 and 17, it's really unusual, too, that they chose prime numbers. So there's a lot of weird science. I'm going to try to explain a little bit of that
then
as we get past this.
Like you mentioned the 11 and the 21s, which are gone.
Right. Well, that's the brood numbers.
Yeah.
Those 11 and 21.
Yeah.
Those broods are extinct. Right. But 11 would have been 17 year and 21 would have been 13 year.
Yeah.
The way that
that's right.
the Roman numerals work. Yeah.
Whatever.
So, according to Dr. Jean Kritsky, the nymphs will be about a foot underground by New Year's Day, and from there will rarely move more than 3 feet in any direction. Nope. That differs from other species that could travel as much as 8 feet deep. And before you question it, This guy gained his tenure studying cicadas and is now the Dean of Behavioral and Natural Sciences at Mount St. Joseph University in Cincinnati, Ohio. And in his spare time, which I don't know how you'd have spare time doing that first job, he's the editor of American Entomologist. So quite a busy guy. He literally has written the book on cicadas.
I thought it was going to be a cicada newsletter, and it's like, well, it doesn't come out that often, does
No,
it?
it's more than that. Right. He developed a way to predict the emergence of cicadas within a 48-hour window by gathering soil temperatures for the first 25 days of April, and then using long-term forecasting, he can literally get the emergence down to a 2-day window, which is pretty incredible. The emergence happens in May, usually after a rain, when the soil temperature is 64 degrees precisely. They don't all emerge at once, and they'll come out over the course of 2 weeks. And just like Mark talked about, males that emerge first have very little chance of mating, and females that emerge last have the best chance of successfully reproducing. Yep. And that is the deal. They did call the males that come out at the very beginning of the emergence are basically your sacrificial lambs. You know, that's giving all of the predators a chance to find out what these things are. And by the time more and more and more of them come over the next 2 weeks, all of those predators generally have eaten so many of them that they go, screw these things. Yeah, I'm tired of it.
I can't eat another bite.
Yeah. And that, by the way, is the fifth instar, when they will pretty much climb up any vertical surface they can find, grasp on with their forelimbs, and pupate to their adult form. They begin to split down the back of their final husk and do a cicada sit-up, using their new legs to hold on to the husk as they fully emerge. And if you watch the videos, at the point where they come out of their old shell, it literally looks like a sit-up. It's kind of the same thing like how dragonflies emerge and butterflies. I think anything that comes out of a husk, that's generally like your first emergence. And this is where things can also get really screwed up, is sometimes they get stuck in the husk. Sometimes their wings don't fully inflate, because that's what happens next. They're kind of a milky white when they emerge, and they pump fluid to their wings to expand, and then they change color over the course of the next few hours as they begin to harden. The full hardening process takes around 3 to 5 days, and they're fairly inactive during this time as they recover from all the energy they used to pupate and emerge from their shell. And now we're going to finally get into some good stuff here, because all of these new cicadas are only going to live about 6 weeks, and they only have one thing on their mind when they get them wings.
Booty call.
Yeah, they just spent 17 years in a dark hole. So just like if you serve 17 years in prison, what's the first thing you want, George? A greasy cheeseburger and a piece of ass, right? Yeah, they skipped the cheeseburger, but
Not greasy ass.
A greasy ass cheeseburger.
among species, some males will find a place on their own to call from, some gather as a chorus, and some just try their luck on the open road, moving tree to tree. Those are your gigolo cicadas. When the moment comes, he'll use his first mating call, which is a long call that drops off at the end, described as a "beep-oo, beep-oo." It's weird, but it's just one time.
That is weird.
Yeah, and yeah, I can't do it as good as the cicadas can. It's way more high pitched, and I can't do that, you know. So if the female flicks her wings at the exact moment he drops off with that O part, that means that she's interested, and he'll move closer every time she responds to that initial call.
Come and get it.
Right. Then he moves to his second mating call, which is basically the same thing, but he just does it over and over and over with no breaks. So at that point, he's close
rapid.
enough where he can start to caress her booty with his forelimbs.
I saw David Attenborough calling one with the snapping his fingers, and it would get closer and closer, and then he moved it to the other side and it turned around and followed back to the other
and it
side.
said that they'll respond to, like the clicking of your sprinklers, lawnmowers, weed whackers, pretty much anything that vibrates and makes a buzz, and even, snapping your fingers in the right rhythm, it'll attract them. And we'll find out why in a bit, because like I said, you can kind of guess that the males have one thing on their mind, but it gets weird. So then comes mating call number 3 that he makes while mounting, and it sounds like this. Woo!
No, it does not.
He goes, hoo-dee-hoo! I'm about to get
That
some.
is not how it goes.
And then it's time for him to insert his audacious or bug dong into her bursa copulatrix or cicada-gina, as I've come to call it. It's, cicada-gina. I made that up, everyone.
Yeah, you did.
He'll pump his lady full of seminal fluid, and they'll remain locked together for 3 hours on average, which is a long time.
Holy.
It can be doggy style, side sally, ass to ass, and sometimes even while dangling from a perch or flying. So they're
Whoa.
adventurous. They're
Yeah, they are.
exhibitionists for sure.
You can only go around once.
Yeah.
I waited 17 years for this.
They can also fall from their perch and end up in some even weirder positions while mating. Once he is done topping off the tank, he'll cap it off with a copulatory plug comprised of dried ejaculate, because that's hot. And this is his attempt to block the female's bursa from any further mating. What he doesn't know is he doesn't really need to do this, because after a female successfully mates, she will be uninterested in any other male from that point forward. They only get pregnant once, or they only get their eggs fertilized once.
Okay.
So
Doesn't have to go through that embarrassing.
right, he
thing
doesn't
again.
have to cap it off, but he does it anyway. And honestly, I read the only time that a female would ever breed twice is if the first mating was unsuccessful. So she would go back on the hunt. But males are some randy bastards. They will not only mate with as many females as possible, will sometimes attempt to mount males and even the old dried husks. So just as like a practice doll or something,
Any port in a storm.
Right, exactly. So at this point, we start all over from the beginning. The females start laying eggs, and the next generation is ready to suck root juice for the next 17 years or 13, respectively. So there you go. There you have it.
There you have it.
Yeah. And this is, again, going to be another day when, I think between characteristics and mating, you kind of find out that these cicadas are really just emerging to do one thing.
You got
because
it.
it's their only purpose for that 4 to 6 weeks that they're alive. I think it's 6 weeks on average.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one weird thing that caught my eye while Googling is, you know how it gives you like suggested searches? And one of them was, do cicadas squirt? Yes, they do, everyone.
Yes,
and
they do.
So here's the weird thing. They suck that xylem their entire life underground. And the only time, they still have the sucking mouth part when they're adults, but the only time that I read the only time that they'll actually go back to feeding is only for heat regulation.
Yeah.
They'll suck in a bunch of xylem, and it comes in so fast that they shoot out a squirt of pee, just like our leafhoppers do. And they're in the same family, so it makes sense that they have that same behavior, but it's more for, it's just temperature regulation.
Which is, what I covered earlier.
Because they don't feed as adults.
No.
They don't really need to. I think they emerge with all the energy they need to do the nasty and
For
then,
6 weeks.
kick off.
It just sort of tops off their hydraulics.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
did you know that there are 21 species of cicada killers?
Really?
They're in the genus Theseus, and they pretty much act like tarantula hawks.
Huh.
Female finds it's a wasp.
So paralyze.
She finds a cicada, stabs it, paralyzes it, deposits it, takes it to a burrow, stuffs it down the hole, puts an egg on it, and then the cicada doesn't die.
Right.
So, but it basically lives for the 6 weeks it takes for the thing to hatch out and then pupate.
And the burrows are extensive. Like, I saw there's pest control companies that go along and have to get rid of them out of people's lawns because it's like a little mole. Like 2 or 3 cups of dirt come out with each each
when
tunnel.
the cicadas emerge.
No, when
No.
the
When the
when the wasp
when the wasp-
the hole.
And
Gotcha.
yes, we do have a species here in Washington.
It literally looked like a mole mound.
right.
Yeah.
I know that there was the cicadas themselves have there was like a vent system as well. That one guy said he found a whole bunch of them that had burrowed under his porch, and he was replacing his porch, and it looked like coral structures because of the little vents that the cicada nymphs had built.
I was
up.
wondering if they ever
And that's
find
for
their
heat
way,
regulation
find
as
their
well,
way
I
back
think.
into the same holes that other ones have come out of.
I would think, because those holes that they emerged from are all fresh when the nymphs would start dropping, 6 to 8 weeks after the mating process. I mean, you're talking about, I guess it would be the adults are around for 6 or so weeks.
It would just
and then
be-
it takes
yeah.
another 6 or 8 for the nymphs or the eggs to hatch.
Yeah, so it may or may not. And
Right.
again, if they get lucky, they find it.
Yeah. They're tiny, so, I'd imagine that
you're gonna dig
they'd probably
down-
just fall down the
You're gonna
hole.
go dig down.
Like,
You're gonna go down 2 feet. That'd be the easy way to do it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it said that their instinct is to basically immediately burrow as soon as they land on the ground anyway. So, and also this guy, the cicada nerd, he said if you were ever going to eat them, the best way to do it is to find freshly emerged adults that have just come out of the husk. That's when they're going to be the softest.
Their final molt.
Yeah, because as adults, that's why the females are prized for food in the countries that choose to eat these things, because the male's abdomen is hollow. It's just a resonance chamber for the timbals and the sounds that they make. So you get a much better morsel in a female than you would in a male.
So not surprisingly, in some parts of China, they're beginning to fear that they're going to go extinct because they're eating so many of them.
Really?
They're putting a glue-like substance around trees that they frequent, and they'll go out and harvest hundreds of them. And some places they're worth like 70 cents a piece,
Wow.
like making
That's free money.
like $1,500 a year just for that short period of time gathering them.
Wow.
But yeah,
That's like morels.
and I believe that one they call a golden cicada, the one that's the most popular, and I think it's really big.
Right.
It's the eaten kind.
Yeah, and that part was confusing on how the broods that went extinct actually went extinct. There was a lot to it, and it was too much. I knew we were going to cover a lot anyway today. So,
That was
right.
a rabbit hole I didn't want to go down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, early on it could be glaciers. I mean, coming all the way down on the
I think
coast.
one of them, the last emergence of one of these broods was like 1803, or they haven't been seen since 1803. It's a long time ago, and actually, cicadas in a weird way can be used to track history because their emergences have been tracked going way, way, way back. So I think that was, these records when newer scientists started digging into it. That's how they figured out the period of 17 and 13 years is by, it was such a surprise to people that had never seen it before. Like, holy crap, there's a lot of cicadas this year, and people write that down. Like, this is weird,
And early on, I guess the colonialists here called them locusts, and the French Canadians thought they were idiots because they didn't know the difference, but they had never seen either one,
Right.
so they didn't know.
Yeah. And speaking of, that was part of the reason we were going to talk a little bit about, what was it? Like why they can sometimes emerge in a different time. There was one particular case where a 17-year cicada emerged after 16 years because that year they had they had a really warm day somewhere around January.
Yeah.
And the buds started to, or the trees started to form buds and, little leaves. Then they had a really hard freeze in February that killed all of that new growth. So once it warmed up again, the trees budded and made another set of leaves, and that counted as 2 years for the cicadas because they think
The
that
change in
they
sap.
have no idea.
The change in juice flow in the trees.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's how they think that the nymphs are tracking the years. They don't know why they know 13 and 17, but they track the cycle of the leaves, and as soon as
Aliens.
it's been that many
Yeah.
years, they come out. And that's one of the few things that can trick them, is a weird cycle like that. But, they're on a pretty standard schedule.
So, I got some folklore and mythology if we want to go there.
Oh, snap. Sounds good.
Now, the earliest documented cicada folklore is from China, where stone carvings dating back to 1500 BCE. The Chinese regard cicadas as symbols of rebirth, so they would carve cicadas out of jade and slip them under the tongues of the deceased, which would then allow them to escape their decaying bodies and achieve a type of immortality. So basically, and then
It's like a jade cicada lozenge.
yes. Now, in Greek mythology, Eos, the goddess of dawn, begged Zeus to make her lover, Tithonus of Troy, immortal. He did, but he didn't grant him eternal youth. As Zeus is wont to do, is he would do
Right.
part, but not all of it. So, as a result, he grew so old, he sank into a toothless decrepitude and prayed to be able to die. Now, Eos, knowing God's never rescind gifts, locked him in a room and changed him into an ever-complaining cicada.
Smart. Probably better than what Zeus would have
Yeah.
done.
Now, they were described by Aristotle in his History of Animals in the 4th century BC, and Pliny the Elder's Natural History in the first 10 books, which were published in 77 AD, and then the final 27 books were published after his death at Vesuvius by his nephew, Pliny the Younger.
Pliny the Younger. Nice.
And that's what I got.
Sweet. Threats is easy. Fragmentation and habitat loss are the big ones. They're also so tuned into that 64 degrees that future increased average temperatures could potentially mess with their schedules. That's, just a basic thing.
Yep.
It's so specific. There's a lot of times that you see a specific number and I would just throw it right out the window like you, George. This time I don't. Like this guy that's been studying these things forever, it is so tuned in to the temperature of the soil. There's no way around it.
Right. It's not an average between 58 and 70.
Right. Yeah, 64 is the trigger. Like that is what
69 would be better.
right. That would have been so awesome. It would be like one of my favorite
that's too
things of
hot.
all time. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone got into that fungus that they get infected with.
Yeah.
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 The fact that it's related to that leaf that they chew in certain parts of Africa, khat, that's what they call it, and it has a slight amphetamine
Yeah.
effect, and everybody gets addicted to it.
Yeah, and I think that they even get a little dose of psilocybin that kind of gives them a euphoria.
From the annual ones, that was in the annual ones. The periodic ones had the amphetamine and then effectively it's a sexually transmitted
Right.
disease that the male ones will attract other males.
Well, yeah. After their adagus falls off, and where it used to be
They're just-
is where the spores of
they're
this
just
fungus
bitter.
form. Right. And they said that these are the ones that'll go around and they'll F anything that moves. So they said that this fungus is smart as hell in the fact that it drives these males to go and mount anything it can, including other males. And it already lost its junk. I mean, this is literally a disease that'll make your junk fall off. It's what we've all feared our entire lives. It's like as soon as there's an STD that makes your wiener explode or fall off.
After 17
that's
years,
it,
after 17
right.
years, you get
Yeah.
that.
They finally found something that scares me. Right. Anyway, that was kind of the fun way to There's so much weirdness in
I
this
know.
world, and just playing with them as a kid, and I have a lot of memories of the.
I've never seen or heard one.
Yeah.
Oh, I have.
I think what we used to get in Arizona must have been periodicals because they were the black with red eyes, and I read that most of the time your periodical cicadas take that form. They'll be mostly black with the veiny, translucent wings and
Yeah.
just these bright red eyes that remind me of Black
Mothman?
Manta. If you're a
Mothman?
Aquaman fan, yeah. Yeah, but I guess I looked into that because I was like, man, it seems like whoever created Black Manta could have taken a little bit of inspiration from a cicada, but it turns out that they took the inspiration from a mantis head, which is kind of a similar structure and where their eyes sit and whatnot. So it was cool. I just got dumped on, not that anyone's like, oh, my favorite DC character is Aquaman. Yeah, I never met anyone. You, Max? Nope.
No.
It doesn't happen. And I
Rides a seahorse.
actually, you spoke about author R.D. Trimble at the beginning.
Yeah.
He is a huge comic book nerd. So he told me the only reason that Black Manta was created was so that it could appear that Aquaman could defeat a powerful enemy. Yeah. So anyway, the reviews are difficult today because these things, the only way you can really say it is you have naturally flavored with other natural flavors. That's a great way or little blurb to put on your can. For the Kroger brand, you can find this at Fred Meyer's, everyone. And I'm telling you, what really puts this over the top to me is the price point.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting 12 of these 12-ounce cans for $5, or you can get 4 8-ounce cans for that price, or maybe even $1 more.
Yes.
I think this is better, actually.
I am right there with you. And I've found these, and what I've been drinking at home, because I've just been, dumping a lot of sugar out of my diet, is the sugar-free. The sugar-free, I think, is also just as excellent. Although, you're going to catch some, I believe it's sucralose in that one. I don't think it's aspartame. So anyway, definitely not the same quality of ingredients. It's more of I think Kroger is brought to you by science. But,
I didn't notice that description of the naturally flavored with other natural flavors.
Yeah.
I don't know who the idiot was that wrote that.
Right. Yeah. Like, they don't care. It's Kroger. Right.
Like anybody's gonna read it.
Seriously, though, same punch of, I love that they add that little bit of chili pepper spice that really accents the ginger. It's been such a ginger-heavy show, too. You're snacking on ginger snaps while you're drinking 2 different kinds of ginger beer. But, yeah, I think the Kroger slightly edges out the Q. I'd go like 8.5 on the Kroger, 8 on the Q. They're both good, but it just, for the price point, I think that's why I'm edging it up a half a point, because it's just as good and you're getting more for less.
Yeah.
So,
For the same reason, I'd go a 7 and 8. Yeah.
there you go.
I'm going to go with Bob.
Yeah.
8.5.
Yeah. And
How about these schnapps?
I still say they're incredibly hard.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
you
strong
said
enough.
last
I can
night.
handle them.
Yeah. But the flavor's good. So I will say that. And they do snap right down the center line. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's kind of a single pop of a cicada. Yeah. So now Mark's head's going to get swarmed with a bunch of cicadas that want to mate with him. So
I think they're good. I'll give them I give them a 9
damn,
for
9.
ginger snap.
Yeah,
Yeah, as a ginger snap, I'm going to go 9 too.
a 9.
They could be a little hotter ginger.
I
That'd be
agree
the
with
only-
that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to settle back down to an 8.5 with it. After the freaking pipicaca, those had an incredibly pronounced ginger flavor. So I wish that we could have found another can, because that was one of the things I was gonna do if Megan could find another can, was bag some up and bring them in for the show.
Where did the Swedes get ginger at?
I don't know. You got me, but she remembers making some of this stuff with her grandmother when she was young. She made crumb caca and pipicaca, as a matter of fact. So, Megan was all about all that stuff. Shitabula.
All about the caca.
Those are meatballs, by the way, everyone.
I know.
It's all caca and shit with the Swedes, apparently. But anywho, that's what we got on the old
All right.
horny bastards of the ground.
You got it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Peace out.
Word.
Bye.